G'day, Ben from Melbourne here, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about Chris Bailey, who sadly passed away recently at the age of 65. Probably best known as the frontman of the classic Australian punk band, The Saints, alongside Ed Cooper, Ivor Hay, and Kim Bradshaw. The original lineup released 3 amazing albums, which, in my opinion, are untouchable and, some of the best stuff to come out of this country. The single "I'm Stranded" even beat the UK punks to the punch, coming out a couple of months before what's regarded as the first punk single over there, which was The Damned's New Rose, came out in October. I'm Stranded came out a little bit before, in September of 1976. Not that that means anything, both fantastic singles. I'm Stranded is just incredible. It probably distills what their life was like in the Joe Bielke police state that was Queensland at the time. The track I'm Stranded sums that up beautifully. It's got the just searing Ed Cooper guitar slashing all throughout, and of course Chris Bailey's snarling, bored kind of sounding vocals, which are just perfect for the song. Classic record, I'm Stranded, which came out the following year. With the great songs, I'm Stranded, of course, One Way Street, showing great taste by covering the Australian band from the 60s, the Missing Links track, Wild About You. A bit of fun with Kissin' Cousins from the Elvis movie, and the 1-2 punch at the end of Demolition Girl and Nights in Venice. Just killer stuff. This incarnation of the Saints, which the original one, just evolved so fast over 2 years. They cut 3 phenomenal records. Including, I'll just show you. This is a nice Sire copy that I've got of I'm Stranded. Side one I probably should have shown first. And the back cover, great photo. So following that one came out Eternally Yours. This one proved the Saints weren't a one-trick pony. Like, there's still moments of blazing punk, and Chris Bailey with that disaffected voice of his, which was oh so effective. But this one added horns to tracks like Know Your Product and Australia, and it proved that they could make punk that was also soulful. It was reflected too in Chris Bailey's voice, which was a little bit different to the typical punk scream or that yelp sound. So that added a bit more of that soulful feel to this record. But by no means is this a soul record. Eternally Yours. It's got the great This Perfect Day, which is if I'm Stranded wasn't a good enough single, This Perfect Day was the perfect follow-up, I guess. Of course, Know Your Product and Australia with those great horns throughout that record. This isn't got the nice inner there. Eternally Yours. Oh, again, forgot the back cover. Great photo there. That's LG Ward, I think, in the front there, who after what I said about them having the first single ahead of The Damned, LG Ward played bass with The Damned as well after Kim Bradshaw left. It's just a nice Harvest label, which I've got completely upside down. There we go. So after that came their third record with the original lineup, which is Prehistoric Sounds. This was stretching even further away from their punk roots, extracting himself from the limitations of the punk scene, I guess. It retains the attitude and turns it into a sort of a smart, gutsy, bluesy combination of a controlled power. There's more sophisticated songwriting on this one, and it doesn't sacrifice like the punk attitude or the swagger. It's just, these guys are evolving at a really fast rate, and it shows on this record. This one out of the three is probably a little bit underrated and needs a bit more love. It's a great record. This is the inner there of the boys and the lyric sheet. Another Harvest one. Upside down again. There we go. Nice copy of that. Other than after that album, Ed Cooper would head back to Australia to forge a great, fantastic, idiosyncratic solo career, as well as form some of the great bands that have come out of this country, such as the Laughing Clowns, and his response to Chris Bailey keeping the Saints name by forming a great band called the Aints, which did their own tunes plus Saints tunes from Ed Cooper's tenure in the band. Chris Bailey, as I said, kept the Saints moniker. The band was mainly made up of European members, which would, change several times over the years. They released a lot of records over the next sort of 40-odd years, and Chris Bailey would release sporadic solo albums as well. I've only got a few of the Saints Chris Bailey era stuff. There's a CD of that one behind me. That's better. I probably, after those first three Saints records, I've actually followed Ed Cooper more, but there's some great stuff on this. He's more moulding himself, Chris Bailey, on these as sort of like a troubadour, singer-songwriter style of frontman, acoustic guitar in there, rootsy sort of stuff. Yeah, but still, all the same, really good. Other than that, I've got the Nick Cave album, Nocturama, which, of course, the lead single off that, Bring It On, has the shared lead vocals with Chris Bailey. It was good to hear him belt it out with Nick Cave, who Nick Cave was, made no secret that he was a huge fan of the Saints. And I count myself to be very lucky that I got to see the reformed original Saints play at the Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds curated All Tomorrow's Parties Festival, and also at the Forum. Not something I ever thought I would see because of the tempestuous relationship between Ed Cooper and Chris Bailey over the years. It was something else. Like to see them on stage to start with was amazing. Before they started, there was a nervousness in the air of will they be good. It was tense, awkward, funny at times, and ferocious, and playing and overall just brilliant to see them play. Like, musically, they just tore it up, and I don't know if you've ever seen Ed Cooper before. Chris Bailey live before, but in only the way he can do, he divided the audience right in two with his in between song banter, which I don't think rubbed well with Ed Cooper, who stood with his back to him for the entire time. So obviously no love lost between those two. I also saw this Nocturama tour where in Australia Chris Bailey was one of the opening acts, and he cut quite a striking figure. He'd put a little bit of weight on by then, and he was wearing very tight black jeans and a tight t-shirt with a black guitar, a black acoustic guitar, sorry, and to top it off, a nice cape. But yeah, he played a pretty good set of oldies and you know, the more later Saint stuff as well. Was really good, but the highlight was when he jumped up on stage during Nick Cave's set to join him to sing Bring It On. It was highly amusing. Chris Bailey looked like he was having an absolute whale of a time, and yeah, it was probably getting a bit out of control for Nick Cave's liking. The body language kind of seemed like, you know, Nick Cave was trying to curtail him a bit. Which to me was quite funny, as Nick Cave, you know, as you all know, was once known as a bit of a wild man during the birthday party years and early Bad Seeds, but it was quite funny to see one of his heroes almost upstage him in a way, which great stuff. Yeah, he's one of a kind. He's an unusual figure in Australian music in a lot of ways. He never really moved back here. I think he lived in Europe for most of his life after the original Saints broke up. You know, yeah, even thinking back like to him, when you see pictures of the Saints and footage, he was unusual for a punk lead singer then. You know, for those times he was probably considered a little bit chubby, compared to like those pasty-faced waifs of the UK punk scene. He didn't have the spike hair or the colour in it. He had curly long hair, which was always in his eyes. Wore pretty plain clothes, which was not very punk either. But he did have that oh so cool kind of demeanor, you know, that touch of arrogance of you need me more than I need you kind of attitude, which made him like the perfect front man for the band, especially in those early years. Depending on, you know, what sources you've read about or heard, he was either regarded as like a really generous and kind bloke, or quite complicated and maybe difficult as well. He could definitely be very polarizing, but yeah, you know, regardless of any of this stuff, yeah, his legendary place in Australian music, and to me in music in general, just can't be disputed. You know, those three classic Saints albums of I'm Stranded, Eternally Yours, and Prehistoric Sounds just can't be touched in my opinion. I'll just show a couple more things. This little set I got a while ago, which features the original Saints 3 albums plus a stack of bonuses there, and also a fantastic 4th disc, which is Live in London show in 77, and it's just shears the top of your head off. It's fantastic, really, really good stuff. Other than that, you can probably stream these online. There's the Great Australian Album series, which was probably the Australian version of classic albums, where they talk solely about I'm Stranded. It's got Chris and Ed talking, a heap of other Australian luminaries in there. This is pretty good watch as well. Some good footage in there as well. And lastly, the doco called Stranded, which is it's called The Saints and the Birth of Punk. Living in Joe Bjelke-Petersen's Brisbane, so it really puts you in those times of how hard it was, especially as an early punk band, to form in a very conservative backdrop of Queensland and Australia in general, but apparently more so in Brisbane. Anyway, I'm going to wrap that up. I've gone on a bit, but I think Chris Bailey deserves the tribute. The Saints, if that was all he did, that would have been enough. Incredible stuff. Yes. Well, I'll see you soon in a more upbeat video, hopefully. So in the meantime, take care, and Vale, Chris Bailey.